Hi YouTube, BitHead85 here, and I'm going to share an article that I saw, fact-checked from Politico.com, and it said true. The article is actually 100 fact-checked promises that President Obama has kept to the American people. And I want to read it. It reads thus: Truth is often stranger than fiction, but yet in the realm of T-landia, such distinctions are difficult at best. Next time one of them tells you that Obama has done nothing for America since being elected, take a look at list of promises President Obama has kept. Well, I bet you know what to do with it. This list has all been fact-checked and is an abbreviated version of the list of promises that President Obama has kept from PolitiFact.com. Be sure to check out their website for their completely unabridged list of promises and see for yourself all the detail on each of these 188 promises. I'll take a look at PolitiFact later, but I'm going to share the 158, starting with: add another space shuttle flight, allocate homeland security funding according to risk, appoint a special advisor to the president on violence against women, appoint a White House coordinator for nuclear security, appoint an American Indian policy advisor, appoint an assistant to the president for science and technology policy, appoint at least one Republican to the cabinet, appoint the nation's first chief technology officer, ask people in businesses to conserve electricity, assure that the Veterans Administration budget is prepared as must-pass legislation, attract more students to science and math, ban lobbyist gifts to executive employees, begin removing combat brigades from Iraq, bolster the military's ability to speak different languages, centralize ethics and lobbying information for voters, champion the importance of arts education, change standards for determining broadband access, close the donut hole in Medicaid prescription drug plan, conduct robust research and development on future space missions, consider smart growth in transportation funding, create a best practices list for businesses in accommodating workers with disabilities, create a community college partnership program, create a consumer-friendly credit card rating system, create a green vet initiative to promote environmental jobs for veterans, create a homeowner obligation made explicit score for mortgage companies, create a military families advisory board, create a national declassification center, create a rapid response fund for emerging democracies, create a real national infrastructure protection plan, create a social investment fund network, create a White House office on urban policy, create an advanced manufacturing fund to invest in peer-reviewed manufacturing processes, create an artist corps for schools, create an international tax haven watch list, create job training programs for clean technologies, create new criminal penalties for mortgage fraud, create new financial regulations, create White House Performance Team and Chief Performance Officer, create Youth Service Corps, direct military leaders to end the war in Iraq, double federal spending for research on clean fuels, eliminate the higher subsidies to Medicare Advantage plans, enact a tax credit for consumers for plug-in hybrid cars, encourage farmers to use more renewable energy and be more efficient, encourage water conservation efforts in the West, and the stop-loss program of forcing troops to stay in service beyond their expected commitments, and the abuse of supplemental budgets for war, and the use of torture, enhanced earth mapping, equalized tax breaks for driving and public transit. 51. Establish a credit card bill of rights. Establish an energy partnership for the Americas. Establish an independent health institute to provide accurate and objective information. Establish programs to convert manufacturing centers into clean technology leaders. Establish promised neighborhoods for areas of concentrated poverty. Establish special or school budgets to highlight space and science achievements. Establish special crime programs for the New Orleans area. Expand access to places to hunt and fish. Expand eligibility for Medicaid. Expand eligibility for State Children's Health Insurance Fund, SHIP. Expand federal bioforensics program for tracking biological weapons. Expand funding to train primary care providers and public health practitioners. Expand housing voucher program for homeless veterans. Expand loan grants to small businesses. Expand Pell Grants for low-income students. Expand public-private partnerships between schools and arts organizations. Expand teacher mentoring programs and provide incentives for more planning time. Expand the nurse-family partnership to all low-income first-time mothers. Expand the Senior Corps Volunteer Program. Expand the Veterans Administration Center of Excellence in Specialty Care. Expand veteran centers in rural areas. Explore whether International Space Station can operate after 2016. Extend and index the 2007 Alternative Minimum Tax Patch. Extend child tax credits and marriage penalty fixes. Extend monitoring and verification provisions of the START 1 Treaty. End the Bush tax cuts for lower incomes, extend the Bush tax cuts for lower incomes. Extend the Bush tax cuts for those making less than $250,000 couples, or $200K single. Extend unemployment benefits and temporarily suspend taxes on these benefits. Fully fund the federal contribution to the preservation of the Everglades. Fully fund the Community Development Block Grant. Fully fund the Veterans Administration and VAWA, Violence Against Women Act. Fund a major expansion of AmeriCorps. Get us started as a puppy. Give a speech at a major Islamic forum in the first 100 days of his administration. Give tax credits to those who need help to pay health premiums. Grant Americans unrestricted rights to visit family and send money to Cuba. Help states and localities address sprawl. And if you don't have insurance or don't like the insurance you have, you'll be able to choose a new plan on the health insurance exchange. Implement women-owned business contracting program. Implement a fund public proven health intervention programs. Improve climate change data records. 93. Improve relations with Turkey and its relationship with the Iraqi Kurds. Improve water quality. In non-competitive markets, force insurers to pay out a reasonable share of their premiums for patient care. Increase efforts to reduce unintended pregnancy. Increase funding for local emergency planning. Increase funding for national parks and forests. Number 100. Increase funding for programs that conserve land and habitat for select species such as the Osceola turkey. Increase funding for the Environmental Protection Agency and increase funding for the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Increase funding to expand community-based prevention programs. Increase minority access to capital. Increase non-military aid to Afghanistan by $1 billion. Increase special operations forces and civil affairs. Increase spending to prepare for longer space missions. Increase the size of the Army and Marine Corps. Increase the Veterans Administration budget to retain and recruit more mental health professionals. Initiate a grant and training program for law enforcement to deter cybercrime. Invest in all types of alternative energy. Invest in public transportation. And launch a supportive services housing program for benefits for veterans to prevent homelessness. Launch an initiative, International Add Value to Agriculture Initiative. Launch educational initiative for employers on tax benefits for hiring employees with disabilities. Make greater investment in advanced military technology. Make military deployments predictable for troops and families. Make National Guard leader a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Make a U.S. military aid to Pakistan conditional on anti-terror efforts. More controlled burns to reduce wildfires. No permanent bases in Iraq. Open America houses in Islamic cities around the globe. Open new consulates in the tough and hopeless corners of the world. Organize successful non-proliferation treaty review conference in 2010. Partner to enhance the potential of the International Space Station. Promote cultural diversity. Promote innovative ways to reward good teachers. Promote more preschool education. Protect American intellectual property abroad. Provide $30 billion over 10 years to Israel. Provide affordable, high-quality health care. Provide grants to early career researchers. Providing grants to encourage energy-efficient building codes. Pursue a wildfire management plan. Push for a college football playoff system. Huh, that's interesting. Push for enactment of Matthew Shepard Act, which expands hate crimes law to include sexual orientation and other factors. Raise fuel economy standards. Raise a small business investment expensing limit to $250,000 through the end of 2009. Rebuild schools in New Orleans. 150. Recruit math and science degree graduates to the teaching profession. Reduce subsidies to private student lenders and protect student borrowers. Reform mandatory minimum sentences. I gotta take a look at that fact check thing. Reform No Child Left Behind. Reform the patent system. Reinstate executive order to hire an additional 100,000 federal employees with disabilities within 5 years. Release presidential records. Remove more brush, small trees, and vegetation that fuel wildfires. Repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Reproductive health care will be at the heart of healthcare reform. Require 10% renewable energy by 2012. Require cabinet officials to host internet town hall meetings. Require all children to have health insurance coverage. Require economic justification for tax changes. Require health plans to disclose how much of the premium goes to patient care. Require insurance companies to cover pre-existing conditions. Require large employers to contribute to a national health plan. Require more energy-efficient appliances. Require new hires to sign a form of affirming their hiring was not due to political affiliation or contributions. Require states to provide incentives for utility to reduce energy consumption. Restore funding to the Burn Justice Assistance Grant Program. Restore the funding to EEOC and the U.S. District or Department of Labor's Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. Reverse restrictions on stem cell research. Seek verifiable reductions in nuclear stockpiles. Send 2 additional brigades to Afghanistan. Set goals and timetables for implementing Section 3 of the 503 of the Rehabilitation Act. Share environmental technologies with other countries. Sign a universal health care bill. Stand down nuclear forces to be reduced under the Moscow Treaty. Stop the development of new nuclear weapons. Strengthen and expand military exchange programs with other countries. Strengthen the antitrust enforcement. Strengthen the levees in New Orleans. Support airline service in small towns. Support commercial access to space and funding and reform for Amtrak. High-speed rail. Increase funding for NEA. Network neutrality on the internet. Support regional innovation clusters. Use the International Space Station for fundamental biological and physical research. Use the private sector to improve spaceflight. Viciously pursue hate crimes and civil rights abuses. We will kill bin Laden. We will seek more accommodations for bicycles and pedestrians. Work to build a national natural gas pipeline from Alaska. Work to overturn Ledbetter versus Goodyear. Work toward deploying a global climate change research and monitoring system. Fact checks. Has Obama done anything for you lately? Well, there's 188 reasons why you should vote for him. But even if you don't, I at least hope that you vote. But he's the better candidate for this country because he's already proven himself committed by his record. Well, if anything, you have a great day, and I'll see you later, YouTube.